Welcome to Stanislaus Football Weekly, and now for your hosts, Joe Cortez and Brian Vanderbeek.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Joe. This is Ron Augustini filling in for Brian Vanderbeek yet again.
How you doing, Joe?
It's good to have you back.
I'm back again for more.
Beek's got real tough duty. He's up at AT&T Park covering the San Francisco Giants and St. Louis Cardinals.
We'll give him a week off.
Yeah, we'll let him slide.
Yeah. Did you feel it in the air last week, Joe? And today too?
Yeah.
It's autumn.
It's football season.
It is football season.
It's football weather.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get moving on to Week 7, I want to kind of look back to a football game last week that was played at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Levi's Stadium invited 8 high school teams to be part of a high school football showcase. They called it the Friday Night Lights. It was moved from its original August 29 date to October 10 and 11. Oakdale High and Manteca were part of this showcase, and they played a wonderful game there Saturday afternoon. Oakdale won 42-21, and it was a real neat experience for all the kids. Manteca had a chance to get back into that game with an interception late in the third quarter, I believe. Had they gone on and scored, I don't think it would have mattered. Oakdale had the ultimate momentum grabber in fullback Frankie Trent. He rushed 33 times for 223 yards. Just a real battering ram. And as you pointed out the other day, he's a top-flight wrestler.
He is, Joe. He finished third at Section Masters, I think at 170 last winter. Masters, by any Masters competition, means you're going up against everybody. Public schools, private schools, big, small. Right. And third in Masters is a big deal, and to qualify for state is a big deal in wrestling. And Frankie Trent, I would not want to be a 150-pound corner and having Frankie Trent, you know, a barrel full of knives coming at me.
Absolutely, and he no longer weighs 170 pounds.
I believe he's put on some pounds.
It's way in the rearview mirror. Yeah. He's 40 pounds heavier this year.
He must have put
at
on
least
some
for
weight.
football.
I believe he was at 170 in wrestling, so he's gotten a little bigger.
But one of the great things I thought was of the Friday Night Lights was fans got to go and enjoy the stadium, Levi's Stadium, $20 admission, $5 for kids, $15 parking. The concessions, I understand, were still pretty 49er-like, but it was a great way for fans to get in there and see the stadium for real reasonable prices, and I was blown away.
Yeah, it had to be a great experience for everybody, spectators, players, coaches, everybody. Just to play a Valley Oak League football game at Levi's Stadium was fun. I felt a little bit bad for Oakdale. I guess they confined the spectators to the shady side.
To the one side of the field, home side.
And so Oakdale was alone on the sunny side there. So they didn't have many people over there.
Well, Oakdale coach Trent Merzon
didn't bother him too much. Though.
Yeah, Trent Merzon said he didn't hear fans yelling at him pro or con either way. So
maybe that was a good thing for Trent.
Hey, that's a wonderful stadium. You know, I've seen it on TV, of course, and it looks great on TV, but TV does not do it justice. It's a wonderful facility. You've been there several times as our 49ers beat guy who covers Colin Kaepernick. You can talk a little more about some of the top flight amenities.
Well, the thing I've discovered about Levi's Stadium is that it is comfortable in every way that Candlestick Park was not. Now I was raised at Candlestick Park. I've been in that crowd of 10,000 on a Tuesday night many times. And
you've even been to Kezar Stadium.
Well, just not go that far, not quite. But I've been to Candlestick Park many times, and going to Levi's is a breath of fresh air. It really is. Yeah. It is so comfortable, and it's nice on everyone. It gets a little bit hot on that east side, I understand. But very, very nice place to go to a game. I'm sure it was a barrel of fun for everybody who was there Saturday.
Yeah, and I get the impression that Levi's Stadium would like to do this again, have another Friday Night Lights. And our colleague Brian Vanderbeek pointed out last Saturday, he was up there with me staffing the game. He pointed out, wouldn't it be interesting if we could have a Harvest Bowl game as part of the Friday Night Lights? Harvest Bowl being Turlock and Pittman, their annual rivalry game. I think a particular Pittman High graduate who plays quarterback for the 49ers might be able to put in a good word.
He might be able to sell that one. I think his name is Kaepernick.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That Pittman guy. Yeah.
That would be fun.
It would be fun.
Of course, it has to jibe with the 49ers schedule, their bye week or a road game or something like that. But I bet their quarterback has some pull.
I hope so. I mean,
it was a lot of fun.
For the 49ers. You have to go to the museum there. If you're a 49er fan, there's a beautiful museum there that you have to see at Levi's. So put that down on your list.
Absolutely. Hey, on to week 7.
Okay.
Speaking of Oakdale, staying with Oakdale, Oakdale remained undefeated with its win over Manteca. That sets up a colossal showdown with undefeated Sierra High School. Could be for the Valley Oak League title. Central Catholic still has to play Oakdale. Manteca still has to play Sierra. We've got a lot of work to do here in the VOL, but this one is a big game.
Yeah, this is part of that 4-way fight in the Valley Oak League we've been touting from the beginning of the season. Now we're seeing it take shape, and we've already witnessed how these teams are knocking themselves, knocking each other out, or knocking each other off sideways a little bit. They've been close games.
Central Catholic beat Manteca 29-28 in overtime. Sierra beat Central the following week 17-14 in a thriller. Looking at the matchup here, the record of Oakdale's opponents is 19-17. The record for Sierra's opponents is 16-20. They've both played some quality teams. Oakdale's knocked off Sonora, Turlock, and of course Manteca. Sierra has beaten Central Catholic, and now they face each other in Sierra this week at is it Daniel Teixeira?
Yes, Daniel Teixeira Field. Yes,
I got it. Prediction, Ron. What do you think in this one?
That's a tough one, and it's going to be close. I'll say Oakdale in a close game.
Well, Oakdale's coming off a short week. They played that game against Manteca on a Saturday afternoon.
How short a week is that, though? 12 hours? I don't. Is that a factor?
Maybe not at the high school level, but it was an emotional game against their rival in a big time setting. They've got to kind of come down from that. Sierra had, almost a week off with an easy 37-7 win over Lathrop. Usually that would be enough for me to pick Sierra, but I'm fresh off of seeing Frankie Trent for the first time. I'm going to go with Oakdale in a close one, something like 21-20.
You're a Frankie Trent believer.
He's my guy.
Okay.
Okay, in the MMC, we've got a couple of big games as well. We've got 6-1 Downey against 3-4 Enox. Now that doesn't sound like a big game, but they're both 3-0.
They're 3-0 in MMC.
Enox overcoming that 0-4 start to the season. They've won three straight. What are your thoughts on this one?
I have not seen Enox, so I don't know. I know Sean Muniz is a nice player. I kind of like Downey. I like that offense in a big game. I think Jeremy Pla has brought that offense along over the years. I think they know how to handle it a little bit better, especially in closer games in the fourth quarter. I think I kind of like Downey in this game.
I'm kind of split here. I think both teams are fairly even offensively. Defensively, Enox gave up 49 points last week in a 50-49 win over Bayer.
Wow.
And Bayer probably should have won that game. They lined up for a 40-plus field goal at the end of the game, missed, but the kicker was roughed. They get another shot under 30 yards, not much longer than a PAT, and they missed that one too. So Enox gets a little lucky there to come away with that win. Sometimes better lucky than good.
Oh yeah, all good teams need a break now and then, for sure.
But in this case, I'm going with good. I think Downey's going to win.
Okay.
Munoz is a great quarterback, but your guy, Jacob Magana, do you know he leads the Sac Joaquin section with 9 interceptions?
He's amazing, amazing little player. If you like to watch undersized stars, go out and watch Jacob Magana. He has a nose for the ball, as they say.
He does. And if Enox is able to win this game and they go on to get one of the 2 automatic berths from the Modesto Metro Conference, well, we could end up having 4 teams, 2 automatic qualifiers and 2 at-large teams. Modesto and Gregory are still fighting it out. For 4 teams from the MMC could make playoffs.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
Not bad for the MMC.
For the team that takes a lot of grief.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of Gregory and Modesto, they play this week over at Chuck Hughes Stadium. Both are 5-1 overall. Gregory is 2-0 in league. Modesto is 1-1, coming off a bye. A second league loss pretty much ends Modesto's quest for a second league title in a row. What do you think?
That's an interesting one to call. I have seen both teams. I like the Modesto quarterback, Nate Phillips. Nate Phillips is very good.
Kind of a Doug Flutie type.
Yeah.
Runs around, makes things happen.
Makes plays. Just makes plays.
Period.
Fun to watch. But I watched Gregorian, their win over Davis last week. Pretty impressive. They kind of pushed Grace Davis around. And because of that, I think they have a chance. They'll have a little size advantage up front against Modesto. It's very hard. I think Modesto, it's important for Modesto to get a lead in that game early. Because if Grigori gets a lead on you, that wing T,
They can kind of lean on you.
they lean on you and they can force the game on you. And because of that, I'm going to pick Grigori.
Well, Grigori has that strong running game out of the wing T, like
Yes,
you
they
mentioned,
is.
led by junior Demetrius Vincent.
Yeah, nice player.
Really strong, the Jaguars are, with their defensive front. They've got the likes of Charles Graham, Ezra Ruiz, Matt Vargas. Really solid defensively.
Yeah. All those players you mentioned had really good games against Davis last week too.
But there's Nate Phillips. That's the wild card. He just makes things happen.
Yeah.
Modesto's coming off a bye week. I like that. I'm going to go with Modesto ever so close.
Okay.
That's 3 close games in a row we've got.
That'll be a fun game to watch.
It should be. Moving to the CCC, the Central California Conference, we've got Pittman, undefeated, kind of our surprise undefeated team this year.
5-0.
5-0 at Merced, one of our top-ranked large school teams. They'll be playing at Veterans Stadium at Golden Valley High School this Friday. I haven't seen Merced play yet.
Yeah, neither have I. I haven't seen either team.
I'm planning on seeing them play on Halloween night when they take on Turlock, another team I haven't seen play. But I plan on seeing them October 31st because I think that game is going to matter.
Okay.
That kind of spills the beans on my pick. I think Merced will win. I think Turlock will beat Buhack in another big CCC game, setting up that showdown in a couple of weeks. What do you think about Pittman-Merced?
Pittman averages 32 points a game. Merced averages 48 points a game. I predict a lot of points. Oh, by the way.
Okay.
But I'm going to pick Merced. I'll go with the Bears.
And then Turlock-Buhack. Have you seen either of those teams?
I have not. And I've seen Turlock. I'm sorry. I have seen Turlock.
I've seen Buhack.
Okay. That one I'm stumped on. I'll go with Turlock.
As will I. And I think that October 31st showdown between Merced and Turlock is going to be for the league title.
Okay.
Okay, Modesto Christian at Houston over at Husky Stadium. This is the second week in a row that Modesto Christian is the homecoming opponent for the homecoming team for its opponent. And I really like MC. I like what they're doing over there, despite the fact that they've got 19 kids. They did get one back this week, so they're back to 19.
That means something when you're that low on numbers.
I'm hearing that Houston's Devondre Stenardo rolled an ankle last week against Escalon. He may not be available. They still have Cesar Cuevas, who just needs 95 yards to reach 1,000. He'd become the third 1,000-yard rusher in the district this season. Mark Pauley of Sierra and Connor Hamilton of Calaveras are already there. I'm going to go with Modesto Christian, even though Houston's a more desperate team.
Okay. I think Modesto Christian's pulled a switcheroo on everybody. When they schedule you for homecoming, they expect to beat you. Well, Modesto Christian, with Coach Parsons back, has changed the theme a little bit. And
they're no longer the opponent.
They're no longer the opponent on homecoming. So, Modesto Christian's won 5 straight after a 1-point loss to Capital Christian in their opener. Houston's lost their last 2. I think Modesto Christian might be ruining another homecoming here.
I agree.
We'll see.
I agree. Modesto Christian's got a great player in Connor Dowd, fullback, linebacker, second in the section in tackles, wonderful player. Kind of a Frankie Trent-like guy, big, strong kid. Moving on to another Trans Valley League game, we've got Hilmar at Escalon at Lloyd Ingle Field. What do you think about this game, Ron? What are your thoughts?
Hilmar has lost. Hilmar's 2-4.
Right.
And they've had a tough go so far this year. I thought they'd be a little more successful. Escalon is 4-2. They've won 3 of their last 4, gaining some momentum now. I like the Cougars in this game.
Yeah, I do too. Escalon, I saw Escalon for the first time last week. Escalon's Escalon. They run and then they run some more, and they're stout defensively.
Yeah.
Hilmar doesn't have much of a running game at all, and that's been their problem this year. They're only averaging about I think less than 100 yards a game on the ground, and they don't score much. With 107 points scored all season, that's ahead of just 9 district teams. Those 9 district teams have a combined record of 8-48. That's you got to score.
Got to score a few more points than that.
And when you're looking for answers, offensively, the Cougs aren't the team you want to face.
No, not at all. That wing T has a way of grinding you down.
So we're in agreement on Escalon.
Yes, we are.
And you know what that means?
That means there's going to be a record set.
That means we both think Mark Laburo, Escalon coach, been there since 1989, will get his 262nd career victory and pass the mark of 261 that he shares right now with Max Miller, who did most of that at Cordova High.
Correct, Cordova.
Hey, I had a chance to talk with Mark Laburo last week after his game. Let's take a listen to that, and then we'll talk about his career.
The big story is your career victory number 261 ties you with the all-time mark in the Sac Joaquin section. You got to be really proud about that.
No, there definitely is. You know, I'm sure I'm going to reflect on it a little bit more tonight, you know, and over the weekend. But in order to accomplish something like that, it's just not about me. It's about my players. It's about my school. It's about my community and the great coaches that have coached with me throughout the years. And I guess if you do something long enough, there's always a prize at the end of the road. And this is one great prize that I can hang my hat on in high school football.
Well, Coach, congratulations to you. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thank you very much, Joe, and I'm glad you're here tonight to enjoy it here with me. Thank you.
Well, I did. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Well, you heard it from Mark. He is an all Escalon guy, and that's what Mark is. He went there. His dad is an icon there, and he is an icon now.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing to me, Joe, that he's coached 26 years there, much less all the success he's had. Mark is remarkable in many ways. The perfect example of a coach bringing together all the advantages of a single school town and putting it together into a great program with continuity with his coaches. Remarkable in many ways.
I saw them last week play Houston. I saw them last season play Houston. Those are the only 2 games I've seen live. And I'm just really impressed with the way Mark Laburo manages a football game.
Yeah.
He just has everything covered, totally prepared, totally in control, knows exactly what he wants to do, and then he goes out and does it.
Yeah, his quarterbacks really know what to do. He works very nicely with his quarterbacks during the game, and they definitely know what they can do at Escalon. They know their strengths, and they play to them. It's been fun to watch over the years.
Is there a signature moment that stands out for you?
Well,
I know it's hard.
There's been those great Escalon-Patterson games over the years have been very special. Their run to the state title has to be the best, with a cousin of mine, a quarterback, Gino Francischetti, to throw out a family plug there. But winning the section title with a field goal after a Hail Mary.
It was against Calaveras?
Against Calaveras. Yeah. That was an incredible game. I did not attend it, but from everything I heard, it was very special. And then to go down in Carson and winning big, you know, you can't really top that.
Well, one thing about Escalon High, if Escalon is anything, it's old school football.
Oh, yeah, old fashioned, wing tee.
Yeah.
They don't do many things fancy. What they do very, very well. And in most cases, the opponent knows exactly what Escalon's going to do. But
you said it, nothing fancy, like their uniforms.
Very old school.
Very old school, very basic. They kind of look like the LSU Tigers.
At home, they look like LSU, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, not at all.
That purple and gold look stands out.
Their road jerseys are big purple numbers on white jerseys, and at home, big yellow numbers, I think.
You can read them.
Right, which is...
you can read the numbers.
Which is something you wanted to talk about.
Okay, I did, Joe. And this is a little pet peeve. It isn't 9/11 and it isn't Watergate, but there is something happening in the section here with apparel for football teams. Over the last year and a half, I've noticed it with my old eyes. It's hard for me in the press box and for spectators too, sometimes to see the numbers on their uniforms.
Right.
For the road team, especially when they're wearing white. And it's become an issue, actually. The section has had to ask one school, I believe it was Liberty Ranch in Galt, to scuttle their home uniforms, dark numbers on dark jerseys. I saw a video. You couldn't, it looked like
Right.
they had no number on at all. What I've noticed is that I've seen these away jerseys, white, with yellow numbers or fat
Or silver
numbers. You know, under these Friday night lights that aren't always the best, it's really hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell.
And it kind of defeats the purpose. You'd like to know who's out there.
You know,
and
another...
I think apparel makers have to take this into account. Now, there are special rules, specific rules from the National Federation of High School Associations that specify exactly what these uniforms have to be. These numbers have to be legible, and I encourage apparel makers and coaches to just be a little more selective in their numbers, because we really need to know. I've seen yellow numbers on white jerseys. That's without much outlining. It's hard to see.
Well, and you know what else they do? They have these weird kind of delicate fonts. You know, they're not your typical standard block numbers anymore. Like the old Pittsburgh Steelers or Los Angeles Rams, just big numbers.
Yeah.
They're these really delicate, goofy, wavy, artsy fonts.
Yeah.
And a 6 looks like an 8, and a 2 looks like
impossible.
a 7. And
there are nights when you can't tell the 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
yeah.
You know, thank you, Nike, by the way, for that.
That's an Oregon Duck.
Yeah, it is.
You know, with the success of the Oregon Ducks, I think a lot of
Yeah.
high school kids and high school teams wanted to kind of emulate that look.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. And okay, is it a serious issue? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think we could pay more attention to that and get something that is obvious needs to be corrected. We need to know who the players are in the field.
Absolutely.
That's basically it.
Couldn't agree with you more. That's kind of the point of the numbers, right?
Kind of suits the purpose there, you know? Oh, by the way.
Well, that's it for this edition of Stanislaus Football Weekly. We did it.
I think we covered it.
That was a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Hey, don't forget to check out modb.com for videos, photo galleries, the league pages. Be sure to join me each Tuesday night for a live football chat. Do you check in with that?
I do. I like it.
All right.
I do.
It's good to hear.
Good topics.
Join us each Friday night after the games for the Pigskin post-game wrap, where we sit around and talk about football.
When we're really tired.
Yeah.
Early Saturday morning, usually.
After the games.
Yes.
Yeah. And be sure to join us here. Usually, we post this show each Wednesday. It's at modb.com for Stanislaus Football Weekly. So for Ron, I'm Joe, and as our friend Brian Vanderbeek likes to say, go out and enjoy some high school football.